All right, if you've been hanging out with me on social media recently, you know I've been creating a lot of the little short videos and answering questions, and it's been really fun for me. It's really got my creative brain going, but it's also, I think, been a fun way for me to connect with you guys. You can ask me your questions and I'll answer them. Anyways, one of the questions that was asked recently is how do I finish the bottom edge of a quilt? And I'm right now quilting this awesome quilt. It's awesome. I've had so much fun quilting it. I've been working on a fall video that I will share in the Peace and Quilt Academy. If you've not yet checked out the Peace and Quilt Academy, run. So what it is, it's like this cool library full. Right now we have over 160 machine quilting videos in there, but in these videos, I'm bringing you here into the studio with me and I'm sharing my real process of what it's like to custom machine quilt. So that includes like planning, the good, the bad, the quilting, and it's just full of inspiration. So run check that out. That's where I'll be sharing all this. But in the meantime, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I approach the bottom edge of a quilt. Now I do have a video also in the Peace and Quilt Academy where I share the full process of loading a quilt onto the machine, if you check that out over there. But now once you reach the end, what do I do? Well, if you know me, you know that I love to pin my quilts to my leaders. I do all my quilting here on a Gamble 22-inch machine. So I've reached the end of the quilt. Well, not technically, I still need to quilt the bottom border here on the quilt, but I need to take these pins out. So what do? What I'll do is advance the quilt first. So I'll roll it up a ways, and I don't advance like all the way up to the top. I just advance to a position that's comfortable in my throat space, but so it's all the way up on the frame. Once I get it in position, then I'm going to go through and remove all of the pins. Okay, now I'll pull the top or the leader down, and I'll always go through smooth, make sure everything is out nice and flat. Now, if my bottom border has like some wave in it or it's just not laying super flat, I might go through and place a few pins to stabilize it, but next I'm going to go through and baste it. Okay, so for my basting, when I load my machine, I'll baste along the top edge and then down the sides as far as my throat space will allow. As I advance through the quilt, I'll baste as I go. But for my basting stitch, you know, I've tried pretty much every type of machine there is out there, and I've chosen to use my own type of stitch. It's actually just a single stitch. And the reason that I like to use this single stitch is because of the control that I have over this stitch. So, you know, if I want a stitch to go in a certain place to kind of stabilize the quilt a little bit more, if I need to work in some bulk or whatever I need to do, I can make the machine take a stitch exactly where I want it. It's more time consuming, but for me, it helps me keep my quilts really nice and square. And I really don't mind taking a little bit of time to get things right. So I'll bring you down to the machine and show you how I'll take this simple basting stitch down to the bottom of the quilt, then I'll work across this bottom edge. I'll cut my threads once I get over here to this bottom corner, come back up here, and then baste down that right side. So I can see I want to definitely take a stitch right there, kind of not on the seam, but like in the fold of it. So I'll just put the machine there and make it take a stitch. This is why I love this basting stitch. And sometimes my stitches will be like maybe 1/4 of an inch apart. Sometimes they might be more like an inch apart. It's really just what every single quilt needs. They're all made by humans, made with fabric, so you have to be able to adapt. Got the corner nice and stabilized. Now I'll continue on across this bottom edge, and you can see I'll just hold things, make sure everything is nice and secure. And I should mention, before I did start this basting stitch, I have clamps that I attach out to the sides of the quilt backing, and I did attach those first before I begin this basting stitch. I run my stitch probably like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. And that's how I finished the bottom edge of the quilt. Now are you wondering, how am I going to quilt this quilt? Come back next Monday and I am going to be sharing my process of machine quilting this border. It's a fun woven design, maybe something you'll find a little bit of inspiration. But like I said, you can find the full process of custom machine quilting this incredible quilt coming soon to the Peace and Quilt Academy. Run. It seriously is such a fun place to hang out. But while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and I will see you all next Monday with another fun machine quilting video.